Imagine a time before the blue skies and golden sunlight were overseen by the Olympians you know today. Back then, before Zeus reigned supreme with his crackling thunderbolts, the cosmos belonged to the Titans. They were the second generation of divine beings, colossal, powerful, proud, descended from the primordial sky god Uranus and the ancient Earth Mother Gaia. At their head stood Kronos, a ruler who had seized power by toppling his own father. But despite his outward confidence, Kronos lived every moment with a secret terror gnawing at him like a hungry beast in the night. A prophecy had wrapped itself around his fate. Your own child will overthrow you. These words were not vague whispers. They were a direct threat to his throne. Kronos, who had violently claimed his crown, now feared the same violence would be done to him. He could not brush aside these grim tidings. Without a son who remained harmless or no heir at all, his future seemed doomed. Every new child born to his wife, Rhea, chipped away at his peace of mind. How could he allow even one child to grow strong enough to challenge him? So he committed acts that horrified gods and would horrify mortals 10 times over. He swallowed his offspring as soon as they took their first breath. One by one, Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon. Each disappeared into the dark prison of Kronos' stomach. It was a desperate measure, yes, but Kronos believed it necessary. If he faltered, if he allowed even a single child to escape, the prophecy would take root and tear down his era of Titan rule. In Kronos' mind, the stakes could not have been clearer: his destruction or their demise. He chose survival at any cost. Now imagine Rhea, their mother, standing by as child after child vanished into Kronos' maw. She was not just another Titaness. She was the queen who had hoped for a thriving family. Instead, she watched helplessly as her babies were devoured before they could even cry out. Her heart hardened with sorrow, anger, and the unbearable weight of doing nothing. At last, when she carried her next child, she vowed this horror would not continue. She had seen enough. She would gamble everything, her safety, her position, her very fate, to save just one child who could break this vicious cycle. That child was Zeus. This time, when her labor pains ended, Rhea concealed the newborn Zeus in a hidden cave on the island of Crete. She entrusted him to nymphs who nursed him with goat's milk and honey, and stationed the Curetes, warrior dancers, outside. They clashed their spears and shields, drowning out Zeus's infant cries. Meanwhile, Rhea swaddled a stone in cloth and handed it to Kronos. Driven by panic, Kronos snatched it up and gulped it down, never suspecting the trick. Rhea's bold deception worked. Her heart pounded, knowing if Kronos discovered this ruse, he might unleash fury beyond measure. Yet this was the only way forward. The stakes were enormous. If Zeus survived, there might be a future where children need not fear their father's hunger. If this failed, tyranny would tighten its grip forever. As Zeus grew in secret, the world beyond remained trapped under Kronos' fearful rule. The Titans were powerful, yes, but their domain had grown stale. With no new deities rising to full strength, no youthful energy to shape the future, existence lingered in a kind of uneasy stagnation. Zeus heard the tales whispered by Rhea during secret visits. His siblings, each of them divine in potential, still lived inside Kronos' belly. Unborn into the world's freedom, they awaited rescue. If Zeus did nothing, no new order would come. He understood, even from a young age, that if he ever wanted to bring justice, he must face the impossible. He must confront Kronos himself. Years passed. Zeus, now a fully grown god, stepped out of hiding. He did not march up to Kronos' throne shouting challenges. He was clever, not reckless. The prophecy guaranteed he had a destiny, but destiny alone would not win this. It was a gamble: approach subtly, or risk being devoured like all the others. So he disguised himself, entering Kronos' court as a mere cupbearer. The tension could have snapped a bowstring. Kronos loomed overhead, confident that no threat remained. All the while, Zeus's heart pounded. If his disguise slipped, the consequences would be swift and brutal. "Great king," Zeus said softly, offering a special drink mixed with a potent concoction. Kronos barely looked at him as he drank it down. Moments later, Kronos convulsed, retching, and to everyone's astonishment, he vomited forth the gods he had swallowed so long ago. Out came Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, fully grown and furious, their eyes burning with a hunger for freedom denied. Kronos staggered, stunned. In that instant, Zeus revealed himself. "Father," he said, "your time of terror ends now." The siblings gathered around Zeus, understanding the depths of what this meant. They were not simply free. They were an alliance of young gods poised to claim their rightful place. If they failed, Kronos would clamp down once more, and the darkness would be worse than before. If they succeeded, they would reshape the destiny of all creation. But toppling a Titan king was no simple task. Kronos commanded a mighty host of Titans, each formidable beyond mortal imagining. He would not surrender easily. The struggle that followed is known as the Titanomachy, a colossal war that shook the foundations of the universe. Imagine oceans boiled into steam, mountains cracked open, and the sky roared as if in agony. On one side stood Kronos and the old order. On the other, Zeus and his siblings, the first Olympians, backed by fierce determination. Yet determination alone was not enough. They needed allies as ancient as the Titans, but ready to break the chains of the past. Zeus remembered the stories of the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires, beings even older than the Titans, once imprisoned by Kronos, out of fear that their power might rival his own. Rescuing them would not be simple. They were buried deep in Tartarus, a pit beneath the underworld itself. Freeing them meant risking ambush, journeying through realms of gloom where Titan guards prowled. But Zeus knew this risk was necessary. Without powerful allies, the Olympians were overmatched. Steeling his courage, Zeus journeyed into those dark depths. Poseidon gripped his brother's arm once and said quietly, "If you fail, Kronos will never let us see the light again." Hades' eyes narrowed as he considered the unknown paths into the netherworld. Hera pressed her lips together in grim focus, and Demeter and Hestia exchanged worried glances. None wanted to lose this risky endeavor. It was more than a war, it was the future itself on the line. At last, Zeus found the Cyclopes and the Hecatonchires in their prison. He shattered their chains with lightning strikes and offered them what Kronos never did: respect, freedom, and a place in a new order. The Cyclopes, grateful and eager for revenge, forged mighty weapons to aid the Olympians. They gave Zeus the thunderbolt, a weapon crackling with raw power. They fashioned a trident for Poseidon, capable of shaking the seas to their depths. For Hades, they created the Helm of Darkness, allowing him to move unseen anywhere he wished. These gifts were not just tools, they were symbols of trust and alliances forged in dire circumstances. If the Cyclopes had refused or the Hecatonchires turned hostile, the Olympians would have lost everything. Such alliances are never guaranteed, and in forging them, the Olympians had risked their entire future. Yet through courage and cunning they had prevailed. Armed and united, the Olympians fought back with renewed vigor. The war raged for ages, its echoes felt in every corner of the cosmos. Each clash of thunderbolts or quake of Poseidon's trident carried a simple truth. Victory would mean a new era. Defeat would plunge creation into unending despair. It wasn't just about winning a throne. It was about breaking a cycle of devouring fathers and hidden children. It was about establishing a world where destiny might guide rather than terrify. Eventually the tide turned. The Titans, worn down by relentless assaults and the betrayals of old allies, began to falter. The Olympians, buoyed by their vision of a fairer cosmos, pressed on. Kronos, cornered and outmatched, could no longer deny the prophecy. He was overthrown, cast into the depths of Tartarus, and bound there so he could never rise again. The war had ended. Zeus stood victorious, the threat of Kronos' dominion shattered into memory. Yet even at this height of triumph, Zeus faced another crucial decision. Now that he and his siblings were free, how would they rule? They could have battled among themselves for supremacy. Zeus could have claimed all realms, forcing his brother gods and sisters to serve him, but that would only plant the seeds for future betrayals, repeating the pattern that had doomed Uranus and Kronos. Instead, Zeus proposed a different approach. Chance itself would determine their domains. Gathering with Poseidon and Hades, Zeus suggested they draw lots. This was not a small decision. If any brother felt cheated, envy and suspicion could grow. But embracing impartial chance meant no sibling could accuse another of unfairness. Poseidon nodded thoughtfully, recognizing that a fair division would prevent immediate strife. Hades narrowed his gaze, wary but understanding the logic. Together they cast their lots. Zeus drew the sky, broad and free. Poseidon claimed the endless seas. Hades received the underworld, dark and mysterious. This final gamble shaped the world forever. By trusting chance over personal ambition, they created a balance neither Kronos nor Uranus had ever considered. Each brother's realm came with unique powers and burdens, and by accepting them, they avoided rekindling the jealousies that toppled past regimes. The Olympians began to build a new order, one not defined by fear and swallowing children, but by pacts, laws, and relationships bound by something more stable than brute force. Mortals would be born into a universe that, while still turbulent and stormy at times, allowed heroes to rise, justice to be served, and new stories to unfold.